Hello everyone, this is LEXINEN, and today I'd like to introduce you to the new elements available in the latest update to the Sandbox evolution, Medieval Wars. This update focuses on building armies to battle the forces of evil and save the princess. There's even a new hero you can use to lead your army to victory. So, let's jump right in. Before we start building a medieval world, let's talk about what each of the new elements can do. We'll start with our new hero, the King. King is a combat-oriented hero armed with a sword and shield. Like the other heroes, you can press the left and right buttons to move, and the up button to jump. Unlike the other heroes, however, the King has two special action buttons. The button to the left of the up button is used to swing the sword. Pressing the sword button 3 times quickly unleashes a 3-hit combo attack that devastates enemies. The sword can also be used to clear away some fragile elements such as foliage and glass. The button above the up button raises the King's shield, which blocks attacks. Using these new powers, you can battle your way through new enemies and terrain to reach the goal. Speaking of which, a new goal element is also available, the Princess. By rescuing the princess, you win the level. Now, let's build up our armies of good and evil. On the heroic side, there are 4 elements that can be used to fill out your ranks. The most basic is the Knight, a simple foot soldier that moves forward and slashes nearby enemies with his sword. For ranged attacks, you can employ the crossbowman that shoots arrows at any enemies in his line of sight. The catapult is another option for powerful ranged attacks. While the catapult moves slowly, it can lob huge rocks at foes, dealing huge damage as well as destroying some types of floors. Finally, the mighty battering ram can be used to smash through obstacles in your way. On the side of evil, we have 3 new demonic enemies to battle against. The skeleton soldier and skeleton archer are the evil counterparts of the knight and crossbowman, respectively. The demon element is a huge creature with deadly attack combos. While technically neutral, the barricade element can be used to slow down and damage either army. Finally, there are several new decorative elements to use to give your worlds that medieval flair. Banners for both sides, medieval houses, a church, and a crypt. Let's build a demonstration world to show off how all of the new medieval elements can work together. We'll build a small castle level, with a medieval skirmish happening outside. The goal will be to rescue the princess held captive within the castle. I'll even show you a few world-building tricks you might not know. For now, let's choose a big world size and build the foundation of the world. The castle will occupy the right half of the world, leaving the left half for the battlefield. Here's a little world-building tip. If you need to measure distances, you can switch the background to one of the grids. The pixel art background is useful to measure individual pixels. The 4x4 grid can measure out blocks 4 pixels wide, and the laser grid can measure out blocks 5 pixels wide. I find the laser grid to be more useful for large distances, such as finding the midpoint of the world in this case. I'll use ruins to draw the walls of the castle. It takes a little while, so I'll speed that part up for you. Let's add a puzzle to the castle. I'll set aside a room full of tough enemies that the player can either fight directly or use the environment to dispatch them. Here's another useful world-building tip. You can use the e-spawner to spawn other things besides just the elements available in the menus. In this case, I'm going to use e-spawners to rain rocks down onto the enemies in this room to destroy them. The rocks originate from the catapult, so we'll need to bait one to attack the e-spawners so that the e-spawners will latch onto the rocks. Once the e-spawner glows light green, it will spawn a new rock every time an electro passes through an adjacent wire. A lever can be used to supply the needed electrodes. When the player touches it, the trap will activate like this. This trick can be used to spawn other things too. For example, I'll set up an e-spawner to recreate the flame attack of the dragon, which I'll then decorate to look like a cool torch outside the castle. Now let's finish up the castle. The princess goes in the deepest room of the castle. And then we'll add some enemies. And some decorative lights and banners. And that's it for the castle. Next, let's create the battlefield. The land will be largely flat, so that the two armies can attack each other easily, so most of our work will be in army placement and decoration. First, let's place a few houses and banners to set the mood. Then, we'll place soldiers of both alliances across the battlefield. Notice how I am placing these elements while paused. This is so that they start attacking each other only when the level begins. Naturally, it's a good idea to place more enemies than allies so that the player can do some of the fighting too. Now for a few final finishing touches. And that's it. The level is done. Remember, as always, to share your creations once you're ready. In this case, we need to win the level first before we can share it, so let's do that. If you notice any problems with the level, this is also your chance to make changes before you submit. Once you rescue the princess, you can share your world to the gallery. That's it for now. Hopefully you've learned a lot about how to create and share medieval worlds of your very own.